In the fourth quarter of 2021, for those 3 months of the year, October, November, and December, General Motors sold a total of 26 electric vehicles. And they were congratulated by Elon Musk on Twitter when he replied, "Room for improvement." Well, now the factory that General Motors uses to build the Chevy Bolt and the Chevy Bolt EUV has been closed since August of last year, and it still hasn't opened. Does this mean that maybe the Bolt and the Bolt CUV are actually dead? Well, according to a recent report, it's possible they could have just gone extinct. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans. I'm coming to you here from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome to the channel, you new subscribers. Welcome back to everyone else. Great to have you here on the channel. Now, I reported a few months ago on what's been happening at Chevy's factory in the United States. Nobody has been in the factory since August. All of its employees have stayed home, and they're still at home. Maybe they're not at home, maybe they're out partying, I don't know. But they're getting paid between 70 to 80% of their regular wages while the factory is shut up. Why is the factory shuttered? Why is it being closed? Well, General Motors had to recall completely the Bolt and the Bolt EUV models for 2 different battery defects. By the way, the batteries are supplied by LG Chem, or LG Energy Solutions as they prefer to be known now. And those battery issues led to some pretty significant fires. I made a video about one of the fires when a Chevy Bolt lit itself on fire out the front of a General Motors dealership. I'll put a link in the description below to that video. Now, recently, the Electric has claimed that evidence points to the fact that the Bolt production at GM's Orion plant, if it ever does restart, is not going to last very long, which means this vehicle could in fact be extinct. GM revealed a $7 billion plan to take the EV fight to Ford and Tesla yesterday, announcing plans to overhaul its EV and battery cell production lines, create new jobs, and convert its Orion Town assembly plant to produce Ultium platform electric pickup trucks like the new Chevy Silverado EV and the upcoming GMC Sierra EV, plus another EV which you might not have heard of. I'll put a link in the description below to the video I made about the new Silverado EV and that additional, well, actually 2 more EVs that GM have planned over the next year. Absent from its big announcement yesterday is where the Bolt and the Bolt EUV, the cars currently built at the Orion plant, will be built once the plant's makeover is actually complete. So is the answer to that question nowhere? Maybe. Now, the Electric says that this is what GM had to say. Asked about Chevy Bolt production, GM spokesperson Dan Flores told CNN Business, Orion is currently down through February, so we can continue focusing LG battery pack production on recall repairs. By the way, I should point out this is costing General Motors $1 billion and LG Energy Solutions an additional $1 billion. Massive losses, plus obviously pretty significant brand reputational damage as well. When asked what would happen once the battery pack production for the multi-billion-dollar recall was complete, Flores said, GM has not yet made a decision beyond February. So it really sounds like General Motors is going to break the news in February that the Bolt is no more. So what will happen to current Bolt owners whose cars have been recalled? Now, despite once being a fairly advanced electric vehicle, it's hard to imagine a world where building the Chevy Bolt as it is makes much sense. The Electric says that on its best day, the most recent model year Chevy Bolt would take over an hour and 40 minutes to go from a 10% to 85% charge, which may have been fine when the Bolt was fresh and new in model year 2017, but in today's market, where a comparably priced and in-demand Volkswagen ID4 that doesn't have a reputation for burning down parking garages can do the same thing in less than an hour's time, it's clearly very, very obsolete. A 90-minute charge time is simply not good enough in 2022. Now, of course, I'm referring to a fast charge time here. If it took 90 minutes to charge the thing at your house, you'd be more than happy with that. That wouldn't be a big deal at all. Now, add in the fact that the LG battery in the Chevy Bolt models use a completely different battery from the latest General Motors electric platform, the objectively superior Ultium, and the business case for more Chevy Bolts just gets that much harder to make. Now that's especially true in light of Mary Barra's One More Thing announcement on an all-new $30,000 all-electric Chevy Equinox at CES a few weeks ago, which, along with the fact that GM reportedly lost as much as $9,000 on each of the Bolt EVs it sold before the recalls, according to a Bloomberg report at the time of the car's launch. I'll put a link in the description below to that report. It may be the final nail in the Chevy Bolt's coffin. Now, if it is true that Chevy was losing $9,000 on each car, then that, my friends, is the height of stupidity. I mean, for example, Volkswagen, what did they do when they were selling the Volkswagen e-Up? They realized we're losing $4,000 on each car. We can't keep doing this, so they raised the prices. There's still plenty of demand for that car, by the way. So clearly that worked out just fine for Volkswagen. Now, personally, I think it's interesting to hear what Dan Flores said after hearing about the potential closure of his plant. GM spokesperson said, production of the Chevrolet Bolt EV and EUV will continue during the plant's conversion. They obviously changed their minds after hearing this report published. Beyond what we have above, there is no additional information to share. My take on this. Okay, I think GM will build the exact number, or close to it, of Chevy Bolts and Bolt EUVs that they need to be able to replace the ones that people are going to be getting rid of. Now, a lot of people who have contacted me have said that they were offered a new model of the Bolt if they were willing to pay more money. And quite a number of them seem to be willing to do that. So I think GM will actually build some of these out, but only for a few months until they've met that demand, met potential pre-orders they might already have. And then I think they'll scrap this car, or they'll come out with an updated model using Ultium cells. They'll increase the prices and try to actually make some money rather than losing $9,000 from the sale of each car, which is absolutely insane. Now, one of the most popular comments, in fact, the most popular comment I've found responding to this news, says it is unfortunate the Bolt got as much flack as it did with the fires and the recall, with the percentage sold versus catching fire still being incredibly small. Now, I have to say, I don't agree with this at all. This is nonsense. In fact, GM has taken a very small amount of flack, considering the flack they should have gotten over this issue. Why do I say that? Well, GM made all kinds of outrageous comments. They said things like, don't park within 50 meters of a garage. Don't park within 50 meters of another car. Don't park within... They made all these ridiculous things that just made it impossible for owners to actually abide by what they wanted them to do. And the reality is, General Motors made this worse for themselves. The flack was friendly fire. GM made so many contradictory statements with trying to avoid blame, including publicly telling people not to park within 50 feet of anything. That was public information. Then as a result of that, lawyers recommended that owners of parking structures ban Chevy Bolts from parking in them. I mean, imagine owning one of these cars and for months being told you can't park within 50 feet of anything. You can't park the thing in your garage. So realistically, even if there was only a small number of fires, General Motors created the perception that there was a lot more fires than there actually was, and put a lot of fear into people thinking that at any moment their car could self-combust. Now, here is the response of an owner. These cases were handled haphazardly. There was very little consistency. 1 week you'd get good response and hope. Then, as their internal processes ground along, they'd stall or just ghost owners. Then they'd start responding again with new recommendations. It drove many of us to cut losses and sell or take whatever they would give us. And they were making some buybacks before fix number 2. By the way, fix number 2 refers to the second battery issue that they discovered. Though the amount varied greatly depending on what state the buyer lived in due to the different lemon laws. Some users got rental coverage, but as I recall, it was early and very limited. So what happened? Well, different owners were offered different amounts in different states. So in other words, if you lived in California or if you lived in Texas, you would have gotten a very different amount of money back from General Motors, thanks to the lemon laws, if you wanted to go that route rather than wait for a fix. Which I think, to be fair, most people can't wait a year for their car to be fixed. Realistically, General Motors created this situation themselves. Now, there seems to be quite a few General Motors fans and owners who are disagreeing with a lot of the comments that I've made today. And basically saying that things that were found online, referring to the 50-foot rule and other things, were just made up online. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But to be fair, General Motors could have clarified it if it was true that they didn't make that claim about the 50-foot issue, having to park outside of a garage and all those sort of things. That information was everywhere. General Motors probably could have pretty clearly, quickly, easily cleared up that information and issued some kind of press release, which they didn't. Now, personally, I want to set the record straight here. I am a fan of General Motors. If I could, I would definitely consider buying a Chevy Silverado EV pickup truck. Unfortunately, they don't plan to bring them to Australia, so it's not even an option. But if they were, it would definitely be on my consideration list. I think it's an amazing pickup truck. I'll put a link in the description below to the video I made about what I think is so great about it. There's one really awesome feature which I absolutely love, that as far as I know, no other vehicle on the market has it. That said, General Motors, I really hope they can rebound from their 26 electric car sales in the fourth quarter of 2021 in the United States, by the way. Globally, they did sell some EVs in China, quite a few of them actually. Thanks for watching the video, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next one. Bye-bye.